Hello everyone, it is me, your boy Drip Sauce. Today we have a long requested video from my buddy Sun Gods, which is the quintessential Naruto debunk / scale. Shout out to Sun Gods for the $10 sponsor, by the way. Before we begin, go ahead and hit that like button as hard as you can, smash the subscribe button so you stay up to date with every single video I post. Without any more distractions, we're going straight to the point. First thing I think we should go over is AP, since it's the more commonly wanked meta for Naruto, even though I do think speed is equally as wanked. The main wank metas that tend to scale Naruto above planetary is mainly from the war arc where Kaguya is able to supposedly create multiple dimensions, housing stars and planets, hence making her multi-solar system level to universal or low multi for being able to do that. And they support this using Black Zetsu's statement about it being the start of a new time space, hence making it more plausible that Kaguya created her own space-time continuums, making her at least multi-solar system level to even uni plus or low multiversal level. It's also apparently supported by Hagoromo saying that they had gone to an alternate time space, and Obito calling the dimensions vast. All these supporting arguments are the ones used to make Naruto scale above planetary. So now how Kaguya would apparently scale to this is that she would either be capable of creating or destroying these dimensions with her Truth Seeker orb. Let's go over why this wouldn't scale her. Firstly, the statement about Kaguya creating the dimensions is a mistranslation. Kanji used is Kukan and Sumuhu, which translate to gathering and assembly of space. So it's implying Kaguya assembled these dimensions rather than creating them. So even if you want to say she did create them going off of the panel, it would just be out of pre-existing material, which wouldn't scale to her entirely since she's not creating it out of nothing. It's like building a house, but this doesn't inherently make you house level. We're never even giving a time frame for this so-called creation feat. It could have taken years, who knows? Since you're arguing that they are separate space-time continuums, then they could have separate space-time flows, hence one day in a Naruto world could be like 10 years over there, so like who knows? Maybe she took years to create it. And that's even assuming she created the dimensions. That's even assuming the dimension like creating would be a feat in of itself, because creation feats in fiction don't necessarily even scale you to what you created, as it could just be creation hacks. People will try to say that just because she's able to contain that amount of energy, she would scale to it via Newton's law, that to every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, therefore she'd have to be able to tank that amount of energy to be able to produce it. But that is a huge assumption with no real proof of that being the case within the verse. Essentially, you'd have to justify that there's a direct, logical, and constant application of this law within the verse, otherwise it would just be an assumption that said creation would scale you to it, as it simply could just be a hack's ability. I can make a whole other video explaining why creation feats don't necessarily scale you anywhere. The context of this scan isn't even implying creation. The bottom panel explains Yame no Minaka ability, which is a teleportation ability. Even with the correct translation of the panel, it doesn't imply creation. It implies she's spinning space, again, which is in context to teleportation, as explained by the bottom panel. That title, the title above it, is just like a mistranslated hyperbole. It can just be dismissed as a name fallacy, hyperbolic, etc. So you're just relying on the title rather than the actual explanatory panel itself that is below it. And these titles have consistency with being hyperbolic, examples being Tamari being universal, half of the Kurama apparently being planet level, and Raikage being light speed, which I'll get to later in part 2. The context behind Kaguya's ability is not creating any dimensions because there's no actual proof for that. It's in context to her linking her dimensions together with her teleportation ability, hence she can access anyone she wants. Saying that the fact that she calls it her dimension means she created it is a slothful induction. I can own a house, but it doesn't necessarily make me house level. Her being able to manipulate the ice there doesn't really mean anything. Naruto characters can manipulate elements anyways and can use them to attack, just like the Shinobi Alliance manipulating water and earth in the war arc against enraged Ginkaku, or even the Ten Tails. Plus, Kaguya was literally affected by the gravity in the super gravity dimension. Pause. I think that should be able to cover overall why Kaguya did not create these dimensions, as the context is different and she does not scale to them. Yes, it is possible to create dimensions using dojutsu similar to Kaguya's. The Kamui dimension, which is of unquantifiable size, is created by an Uchiha awakening the Mangekyo Sharingan apparently, and Obito did use the tailed beast powers as well as his dojutsu powers, which Kaguya does have, to create a parallel universe where Naruto was evil, etc. So I don't really know if he actually created it or just made a portal to it. It would still be classified as a creation hacks anyways, and this doesn't mean the same logic would be applied to Kaguya, as I already established that the context for Kaguya's dimensions is different. That in all should cover creation. Now let's get to destruction. People assert that Kaguya was going to destroy the entire space-time continuum with her Truth Seeker Orb when she expanded with her chakra, making her a multi-solar system level 2 universal. Now overall, we've been assuming that the entire dimension actually belongs to Kaguya, as it could just be the planet she was going to destroy and not the entire space. The databook itself describes Kaguya's dimensions in its own words as worlds of lava, ice, supergravity, acid, etc. So her worlds are planets. Obviously, the entire space-time continuum isn't filled with ice or lava, as that would just be so ratty to assume that. It isn't even remotely implied visually, so it would just not be the case at all. The databook also talks about how Kaguya's Truth Seeker Orbs could turn the world to ash, etc., and that is the world they were on, the planet they were on, aka the Genesis dimension, which is linked to all the others, and this is by taking all the chakra that had been absorbed in the Shinju from the Shinobi Alliance. But this doesn't really mean anything, as the Shinobi Alliance are literally nothing compared to even the Nine Tails in terms of chakra. Naruto alone literally powered thousands of them and 3 times Kakashi level chakra in the war arc, so Kaguya can possibly produce this amount of chakra herself, and was probably just worn out by fighting Naruto and Sasuke, switching through dimensions, which takes a whole lot of chakra. As implied in Boruto, it took Sasuke's chakra down to 50% for just opening a portal. So Kaguya does have massive amounts of chakra. The problem with this is that chakra capacity does not equate to attack potency, and you can have a planetary amount of chakra but still not be able to output that entire amount of energy in a single attack. Similarly to the Ten Tails having chakra capacity equivalent to a near Earth-sized planet, but only producing or scaling directly to mountain level to country level, or even multi-continental feats, like the Ten Tails multi-continental cataclysms. And the difference between multi-continental and planetary is a huge jump. At least 1800 times the force of multi-continental is required to break the gravitational binding energy of a celestial body such as Earth. But since the Naruto planet is possibly around 6 times bigger than the regular Earth, depending on the calc you use, I do agree with their feats being more impressive, but not substantially. So the Ten Tails would possibly be around that multi-continental plus to even moon level, which is kind of supported by the fact that Jubi Madara literally produced a multi-continental to moon level feed by hurling those meteors down from the sky. So yeah, I think I'm doing a pretty good job explaining everything precisely, so if you're enjoying the video, please drop a like and subscribe and share. It helps out more than you think, actually. So Kaguya would only be able to output this amount of energy to destroy a planet using the Truth Seeker Orb with that amount of chakra she had left. Sure, Kaguya can possibly make a beast bomb or an attack similar to that, even though there's no actual proof of that, it's just an assumption. And maybe she can just blow up a planet. But the problem is these attacks are overtime attacks. They aren't attacks that can be produced instantly or spammed. So their attack potency wouldn't scale to that level. Sure, it could be effective in a battle where they're substantially faster than the opponent, or one where the opponent would just sit there and watch them charge an attack for 10 seconds or more, but that's highly unlikely. Kaguya's Truth Seeker Orb negates durability, so that could explain how she would be able to take out the planet whilst not having the amount of energy left to do it herself, and why she absorbed energy from the Shinobi Alliance in the first place. Now, the argument that she was going to take out the entire space comes from Black Zetsu's statement about it being the start of a new time-space, and how they wouldn't able to return to the dimension when she destroys it, blah blah blah, supporting the argument of it being capable of destroying the space. Now, it doesn't really matter if it could destroy the space, as it would just be a hack's ability, hence she wouldn't be able to replicate that using raw strength, so it wouldn't matter at all. And it doesn't matter the amount of energy you think she has or the amount of chakra capacity you think she has, she still wouldn't be able to output that much energy in a single blow, even if it was infinite chakra that she has, which some people genuinely believe. But Black Zetsu had never seen Kaguya perform this ability before, so this could just simply be him overhyping Kaguya as he always does. He literally calls her the almighty goddess. So it would just be dismissed, not to mention the start of something doesn't necessitate the destruction of the last. I can say I'm starting a new era of Beyblade. That doesn't mean I'm destroying the previous era that existed from existence. And that's that's me still manning the argument. Them not being able to return there doesn't support it in any way, as it could simply be referring to the fact that the planet would be gone, so they wouldn't be able to land on the ground. Saying the fact that they can survive in space as an argument is fallacious to support that notion, because that isn't a concept that was introduced at that point in the series, so you can't use that as an argument. And it doesn't substantiate anything, because surviving in space isn't their mission. It is to stop Kaguya. They can't exactly stop her if most of them are randomly floating around in space. Also, I don't even think Naruto being able to survive in space is valid, seeing as the moon is implied to be much different from the moon in our real life. People live there, it's hollow, it has an atmosphere, as Toneri is able to use the silver wheel reverse explosion to where he appears to manipulate wind and blow them away. So yes, it's more likely than not that the moon in Naruto has an atmosphere that they can breathe, hence why they're able to fight Toneri on the moon, why Hinata is able to breathe, Sakura is able to breathe, etc. So they can't return to Kaguya's dimension simply for the fact that they can't breathe there, nor would that even matter if they could, because I already explained why the planet being absent puts them at a disadvantage. In all, I don't even think it's logical for Kaguya to come to Earth to plant a tree that absorbs the Earth's chakra, meaning the energy of the planet. She doesn't even absorb it completely, as the planet doesn't die off like the ones Momoshiki absorbed, and she doesn't even finish the fruit. So she absorbed a portion of planetary amounts of energy, and then she can suddenly create stars and universes? Nah, I don't think so. I think that's kind of a logical fallacy if I'm not mistaken. So that debunks the entire Kaguya wank meta. If you disagree with me, Discord's in bio, we can debate it or discuss it, depending on what you want. Momoshiki's meta is pretty easy to debunk. It's all just mistranslated bullshit. There's never stated to be a redshift nebula. It's just a synchrotron radiation from the dying sun that the planet they were standing on was orbiting. And no, Momoshiki didn't have anything to do with the dying sun. There's no evidence for that. Momoshiki was literally just on an unknown planet where he killed people and absorbed all the life on the planet and ate its fruit. He was also just draining chakra from the parallel world he took Naruto and Sasuke to in the novel only. People usually translate every word that says world into universe, since the kanji is kind of the same, so they can wank Momoshiki, but Happy literally studied Japanese for years and bought the actual physical novel and explained the kanji in the novel in details multiple times, exposing people like Noodles who love to wank the fuck out of Naruto's cock. So it makes no sense. For Naruto's actual AP and where it would scale, you should be avoiding using the amount of chakra a person has to gauge their attack potency. Just because Momoshiki drained 50% of Naruto's chakra doesn't mean he's 50% weaker. Toneri was gonna smash the moon into the planet of Naruto, hence destroying the world of the Sage of the Six Bats. Now, how to interpret this is fishy. Now, I'm gonna give you the safest interpretation. Toneri says the world of the Sage of the Six Bats. Now, I don't think this would overcome the gravitational binding energy, as it's not really implied that Toneri hated the planet itself, but rather the civilizations due to their constant wars, etc. So he was gonna smash the moon into the earth at the speed it was moving in the actual movie. It wouldn't be able to overcome the gravitational binding energy of the planet even with collision, but it would still cause enough damage to destroy all the civilization. Hence, destroying the world of the Sage of the Six Bats, the context is the world that the Sage of the Six Bats built, aka the civilization he created, by sharing chakra to, and not necessarily the planet, because the Sage of the Six Bats did not create the planet. So when they talk about world, they're talking about the civilization he established, the people he shared chakra to. Like you understand, the nations he shared chakra to, right? Not the literal planet itself. But moving the moon for that amount of time would be a small planet level feat to planet level, and the life wiping should scale to around multi-continental plus to moon level, probably due to the size of the planet. And if you do think he's destroying the planet itself, which I don't think is as implied or consistent with the narrative, then it would just be a large planet level feat. Either way, Toneri was using the power of Hamura, who with Hagoromo were able to seal Kaguya into the moon and launch it into orbit, which depending on the time frame you think it is, can go all the way up from planetary to even dwarf star level, but we don't take feats that happen over time as your attack potency, so they wouldn't scale to this at all. Plus, it is a joint feat, so it would be split. Also, it's actually stated that Toneri is the strongest opponent Naruto had ever faced, and Naruto did face Kaguya 1v1 and traded blows with her, and the rest were just kind of tagging along. So Toneri using the power of Hamura and being stated to be the strongest opponent at that point of the series would mean that Hamura apparently got stronger while he went to live on the moon, at least twice as strong if his power is now considered above Kaguya level. And Naruto and Sasuke did replicate the feat that Hagoromo and Hamura did against Kaguya, where they sealed her into a moon which they created, and it's calculated at small planet level. Now, all this is based on interpretations, but it matters which ones are more implied or consistent. So overall, Naruto should scale anywhere from small planet level to planet level, with the highest interpretations being large planet level, which is less likely. So that covers Naruto's AP and debunks all the wank metas used to wank Naruto into oblivion. Please stop wanking Naruto. It's no longer funny. This is 2023. And do watch out for part 2 where I debunk all the wank speed metas. Peace.